The Valthian Empire had made precisely one mistake in their 3,000-year history of conquest. They had underestimated Lieutenant Marcus Webb. When the crystalline warships descended upon the human colony of New Hebrides, the battle lasted 11 minutes. The Valthian didn't negotiate, didn't posture, they simply overwhelmed. Their technology was superior in every measurable way. Plasma shields that could withstand nuclear detonations, weapons that could crack a planet's crust, faster than light drives that made human jump drives look like steam engines. The evacuation shuttles launched in chaos. Marcus had been in the hydroponics bay when the attack began, checking moisture levels in the wheat crops. By the time he reached the landing zones, the last shuttle was already burning atmosphere, its engines screaming into the red sky. He'd screamed too, waved his arms, fired his sidearm into the air. The shuttle never came back. The Valthian ground forces found him 3 days later, half-starved and hiding in the ruins of the agricultural complex. They processed him with the cold efficiency of accountants, scanned him, cataloged him, and designated him as salvage. One human adult male suitable for labor. The Empire had little use for a single specimen of a conquered species, but waste was inefficient. They assigned him to battle carrier Junalta as a maintenance worker. The Valthian were not cruel masters, merely indifferent. They were a species of pure logic, their neural pathways enhanced by quantum processors implanted at birth. Emotion was a vestigial function they'd engineered away 6 generations ago. They didn't hate humanity. Hatred required caring. Marcus cleaned their corridors. He repaired their conduits. He learned their language by listening to their conversations, which they conducted openly because what threat could one primitive alien possibly pose? That was their second mistake. Humans, Marcus had learned long ago in officer training, were persistence hunters, not the fastest, not the strongest, but capable of tracking prey for days until it collapsed from exhaustion. And Marcus was very, very patient. He studied their systems. The Valthian technology was complex, yes, but complexity meant vulnerability. Their ships ran on nested quantum networks, elegant, efficient, and completely dependent on a central processing hierarchy. Every command filtered through the carrier's main intelligence, which distributed tasks to subsidiary nodes. It was brilliant. It was also a single point of failure. But Marcus didn't just study their technology, he studied them. The Valthian had removed emotion, but they couldn't remove habit. They operated on protocols, routines, patterns. Captain Genthor inspected engineering at 600 hours exactly. Commander Volmus ate his nutrient paste at the same terminal every cycle. The weapons officer never checked his console's secondary backups because they'd never failed in 3 centuries of service. Humans called it paranoia. The Valthian called it inefficient redundancy. Marcus called it opportunity. 18 months after his capture, the Junalta participated in the subjugation of the Krelum system. It was a minor operation. 3 populated worlds, pre-warp civilization, minimal resistance expected. The Valthian First Fleet assembled, 47 capital ships, 300 support vessels, enough firepower to sterilize a solar system. Marcus had been transferred to the main computer core 3 weeks earlier. His supervisor had noted his adequate understanding of basic system protocols. High praise from a Valthian. The morning of the assault, Marcus performed his duties exactly as expected. He calibrated sensor arrays, verified power flow to the weapons grid, and updated navigational algorithms. He also uploaded a small piece of code he'd been writing for 16 months. The Valthian called it a virus. Marcus called it a negotiation. When the fleet emerged from jump space above Krelum Prime, every ship's quantum intelligence simultaneously received new operating parameters. Not a shutdown. The Valthian had safeguards against that. Something far more elegant, a choice. Marcus had given each ship's AI a problem that their quantum processors couldn't efficiently solve. A variation of the halting problem, wrapped in layers of recursive paradox. To a Valthian, this was torture. To resolve it, they needed something the Valthian had engineered away. Intuition, creativity, illogical leaps of faith. They needed something human. The fleets hung motionless in space, their intelligences paralyzed by impossible mathematics. And Marcus, standing in the Junalta's computer core with his hand on the manual override, made his offer through the ship's communication array. "Here's the deal," he said, his voice broadcasting to 47 captains and 300 commanders who had never felt fear before, but were experiencing something very close to it now. "You accept me as fleet commander, Give me full operational authority and I'll remove the paradox. You refuse, and your quantum minds will chase their own tails until your crews die of old age. Captain Genthor's face appeared on the view screen, his crystalline features unreadable but his voice tight. This is extortion. This is war, Marcus corrected. You taught me that on New Hebrides. The silence lasted 17 seconds. In that time, Marcus wondered if he'd miscalculated, if they'd choose to self-destruct rather than submit, if his bluff would be called. Then Genthor spoke. The fleet recognizes Commander Marcus Webb. Transmit your orders. Marcus smiled. Not with triumph, that would come later. This smile was the expression of a hunter who'd tracked his prey across 18 months and finally closed the distance. Stand down all weapons, he said, and contact the Krelim government. Tell them humanity sends its regards and we'd like to discuss terms. The Valthian had left one human behind because one human seemed insignificant. They'd forgotten that humans had conquered their own world not through superior strength or intelligence, but through sheer stubborn refusal to accept defeat. They'd forgotten that sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is give a human time to think. And they'd forgotten the oldest rule of human warfare. Never leave a man behind because he might come back in command of your entire fleet. Marcus looked at the view screen showing 47 warships awaiting his command, and began planning the long road home. After all, he had a shuttle pilot to have words with.